So if I were to ask you, we'll divide this up by sex. So A, B, C, D. Male, yes. Male, no. Female, yes. I want to make sure I get my question worded correctly. Okay, if I were to ask you, yes or no, do you think the activities of a married woman are best confined to home and family? That's your question. So inconsistent with, or sorry, in agreement with this sort of idealized picture that never happened in my household. I know people say, oh, just like mom used to make, I think, oh, heat it up in the microwave. Every time I see home cooking, I'm like, I don't know if I want to eat that or not. Same for you?
Same, yeah.
Okay, just checking. So I'm like, home cooking. All right, just like mom never made. All right. See, and again, it's all anonymous. I'm never going to look up. All right, so I don't know what this is. I assume this person is an E. So in your class, we still have, what, 20% of males? That's actually 20% of the whole class. So we actually have 50% of the males, nearly. So that would be 4/9. Someone can do the math real fast. Just shy of 50% of males say yes, and what? So that's 50. Oh, actually, it's easier to do. 3 out of 10. So 30% of the females say yes, and this actually is not that off population samples. So this actually provides a really nice segue, because though these numbers are dropping, if you, again, sociologists have done a really good job on this, pointing out that no matter how much these numbers are dropping, guess who actually does the housework? Women.
They just take on, in sociology we talk about how they take on both, so they end up with double the work.
Yeah, we call. So do they call? Do they use a special word for that?
There is, but
Second shift.
Second shift. Yeah, it's often called the second shift from a book that was written in the 80s. And what's really weird is how perverse the second shift is. That it's, and I would just tell you, if you don't negotiate who's going to do housework,
You're going to end up doing it all.
yeah, the female usually ends up doing it all. So we're going to look at that here in a second. And this still is the case. This was a recent news article. I just have this so you can all see it yourself. That couples still emphasize the career of the man over the female. We like to think, oh, well, times have changed, but really we're still treating females as second. I'll give you some more here too. Sociologists often call this the ideology of separate spheres, and they argue this still governs a lot of thought on male and female. And the thought here is that male sphere is in the world and the female sphere is in the house. That's the ideology of, yes?
Don't females also get doing same work, same job, they get less paid?
There has been a long argument on that. There are, we should be nice and say this way, there are many confounding variables that lead us to suspect this. So let's say that you and I have the exact same job. You and I are both professors, right? We're going to make us both professors. A lot of research suggests that at that level, we're probably getting roughly the same. So it's not this huge difference. So whatever. What does seem to be the case, and this is what makes it harder, is that our society encourages females to be the one to take care of children. Our society encourages females to take off work to do so. We're one of the few societies that don't actually give money to do so. Right? We give 12 weeks of unpaid maternity leave. Is that right? I don't think it's any more than 12 weeks, and it's unpaid. And when the children are growing up, if they get sick, we also have a societal expectation of who's going to leave work. The mother. So I'm sort of trying to work out to where it's, we, in many ways, have set up our labor market with the idea of the male as the model worker, and that leaves females to take care of this other stuff. So what economists fight about now is if all of those things, the taking off, the encouraged to leave, and so forth, if those things contribute to lower pay. So it's not, at least this is one view of how to interpret the data, it's less that you and I are getting different than you as female are being encouraged to take different jobs and a different work history. And that leads to females on aggregate making less. Does that make sense? That it's, if you were to look at all the males and the females in this room, that on aggregate females might make less because of all of those factors, but any male and female in the same job is probably roughly making the same. That doesn't mean that that never happens where there's blatant discrimination, but that's just much more difficult to legally do. It used to be, oh man, like go back 1805 or something, females were paid half, explicitly paid half the males, and the kids made it less than that.
Yeah, my mom still makes, with a man at the same job, she still averages about $10,000 or $15,000 less a year than a man does.
She
And,
should.
And I've been like, so why don't you do anything? She's like, yeah, because if I go to the company and say, look, this is completely unfair, they're going to fire me. And she's like, and then another company's not going to hire me.
You can't do that now.
They can't
Under the Lilly Ledbetter Act, they can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
She should have protections. Now, but you gotta go, she should have protections. But I mean, okay, so, but this actually raises a very interesting issue that's worth thinking about. Let's say she does have those explicit protections. So I probably shouldn't go on record saying this, but many times jobs will look for other reasons.
Yeah, that's what you're right.
Get rid of you.
Because like she's in a the position in her work as like a computer programmer. She's a manager, and also has another job doing the programming in the company. So she would probably lose that managerial position and also make less by doing that too.
So that's a real practical concern. It's like, how do we make this, if one of our cultural norms is equality, how do we instantiate that in the regular relations?
So she just tries not to think about it.
What?
She's just like, I just don't think about it anymore.
I mean, it sucks. I mean, there's no other way of doing it. Like, I have always had female bosses. Like, every job I've had. So, like, doesn't bother me. That sucks though. She's getting, that's a lot of money
Yeah,
less.
it is. It's a lot.
It's like $1,000 less a month.
Yeah, it's quite a bit.
We're all writing letters. We're going to complain. I mean, so I wasn't trying to say that that never happens as much as in the aggregate, economists, and I think this is actually far more interesting of an argument. What if we as a culture are basically saying, females, you will make less because the cultural factor, the net effect is the same, you're making less.
Oh, yeah, because I see what you mean.
I mean, but it's not obvious like, oh, you're making less because you're female, you're making less because we say you should be the one to, I mean, we say you should be the one to leave for your kids or whatever. It used to be a lot worse. Okay, it's still bad, but it used to be a lot worse. It used to be if you were female and got pregnant, they could legally fire you. Like, that was not considered anything wrong. They would ask you questions like, you know, are you planning on getting married soon? Because the presumption would be that you were quitting, and so they would keep you in lower positions. It's still bad, but
That still happens. Like, even now, like, my friend is fighting Sears because they fired her when they found out she was hired when she was pregnant. She didn't tell them because she knew she wouldn't get the job. And so 2 days before her maternity leave, they fired her for integrity. And so now, like, she actually is fighting Sears. It's because they ended up giving, because the state of California will actually pay a part of your maternity leave. And so you get paid, it's only like 20% what you made. But so they didn't have to pay that, they fired her 2 days before.
so it's just
So
it's a very weird thing to go, if if you are hired for a job, should you have to tell them that you're pregnant?
Obviously, serious things, yes.
I'm going to tell you, this has been one of the weird things for me this semester. I come from a very libertarian background. As I've been sitting listening to all the horrors of industrialization in the 1800s Britain, I've sort of been like, companies do a lot of bad things. And that's one of them. All right, moving on. So we still have what's called the second shift, where females tend to do the work at home. So we can think of the feeding work. This tends to be more of a female activity. This includes the what's that look for? This should be review for you, buddy. I sat next to you an entire semester where we heard some of the. Yeah. Okay. Good. Yes. But I deeply like this. I took this great sociology class, family. Interrelations and family with Charlac. Gentia, yeah, Charlotte does the political science. My apologies to both of you women. You're both great. I enjoyed both of your classes. No, I did. I enjoyed both. Were you in there with us?
Yeah, she said like 2 tables ahead of us. We were in the back clowning all the time.
Of course, I would like to go on record going, we were not clowning. And you didn't talk to us? Wow. No, right. So you should know some of this. This makes me feel really bad. I remember him because he annoyed me an entire semester. Gentia, is that who it was?
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed that class. But so the feeding work, so that is the making of the food, the chopping of the vegetables, putting things away, cleaning up afterwards, housework. Okay, what's kin work?
Like getting the different family members together for like family dinner.
Getting different family members together, sending out the invitations. Oh, here's one. If you have people who've just been friends who've just been married, who wrote thank you cards?
To be fair, I have terrible handwriting, so that's why I don't.
That's awesome.
I wrote the ones to my family members just because like they're gonna know. They know I don't write like that.
So how many total were there to be written?
Like 70?
Okay.
She wrote the majority.
Okay, I'm just sure hang on. Especially since she watches these lectures. Would you like to say something like "Thank you, honey"? Or
We had a discussion about it. Probably should do this because no one's going to be able to understand what I wrote.
we'll see if she's still bitter about it. If you are, feel free to send me an email. So kin work, though, where you're taking care of the family relations. Consumption work, this would be more shopping, doing research for what products to buy, couponing, and that kind of thing. Also, women tend to do more housework and more of the regular housework, which means the daily chores versus the seasonal chores, right? So I just mowed my grass for the first time since, let's say, I think it was October. I don't know if that's even true. It could have been September. I am that guy in my neighborhood who I didn't rake my leaves. I liked them. Right, but let's say you and I split up the chores and I have to do the outside work and you have to do the inside. Guess what you've been doing since October? Cleaning, yeah, that's what, is that 7 months? Yeah, 7 months. So when people go, yeah, I have outside and you have inside, I'm like, that's actually not a fair distribution of the work. But that tends to be what happens. Also, the amount of occupational, this is actually I'll tell you, one of the things from the class we took, I want to give Jandira the right credit now that I've said it with Charlac. Charlac did a wonderful political science class. Anyone taken her? You're going to take her next semester? Yeah, it was very good. I learned there are lots of countries in the world. Seriously, I'm sitting there going every day like, that's a country? Right? But she argues, and I think this is sort of a standard sociology position, that it matters less what the distribution is. Tell me if I'm misremembering this. It matters more what you believe the distribution should be. So if you are in a relationship where you are, as typically, I don't like this word, but called traditional. I hate that word because I think traditional is an artificial time period. And you're happy with doing all the housework, research suggests that you'll be happy. But if you are egalitarian with someone who is traditional, you're probably going to fight. But I find it's sort of like if you feel like if you feel that you should be doing more of the work, you're probably going to be not as unhappy about it. I still think this is bad, because guess who gets the best end of that deal? Me. Yeah, men, but, right? So I'm wondering what to make of this data. Anyway.